That's not true.
It's not true.
The police were stopping people from getting out, and more and more people trying to get out, and he's squashing, or one person will go, or the other person. And it's also literally, if you have so many people standing up and getting squashed, you physically can't breathe. There's dire suffocation.
Can't tell my wife. My wife will just have nightmares.
So none of those things.
And then because there's so many people there, and all the reception died, people were looking for the kids, didn't know where they were. People stepped right on the street there because they couldn't get back to the video of the mass.
Okay, better not. Give me that. Okay. Let's do it. We're up to Lily Nishma Steka, all the people that were nifta. We're up to a few testimony Aleph, and we're discussing the chambers of the Kohen Gadol. We established yesterday he had two chambers. Yes, he had a very, very long brisa which described the chamber on the south. It's in the north. Sorry, the chamber in the north, because we said there was 6 chambers, and we listed them all out. And one of them was the Lishkas. Gimel Shvat Sofim was called Lishkas So'etz, and the Lishkas So'etz was for the Kohen Gadol. So there's about Achas Bedoim. We're up to 6-7 lines from the wide lines on a few testimonies down. Achas Bedoim, there was one in the south. It's not. Shiva Shomo Yubazal, there were 7 gates. Shalish Besofim, Shalish Bedoim, Achas Mizrach. 3 in the north, 3 in the south, 1 in the Mizrach. Shibedoim in the south, Shad Deloko was the Shad Deloko. Rashi explains because they used to bring the wood there. Sheni Lo Shad Korban, that was the Korban, that's the way they would bring the Karbonos through. Shlishi Shad Mind on sukkahs that bring water through there. Shemizrach Shad Nikanot. It had 2 chambers. Achas b'minu v'achas b'smoloi. Achas lishkas b'nachas amalbish v'achas lishkas usei chavitin. Mind pass me that thing. They had 2 chambers, and in fact, not only had 2 chambers, it also had 2 rooms coming off it. So here you've got some of the gates, and what would happen is like this. Here's Shah Maim, Shah Bukhir, Shah Derek. Here's Shah Nikna, and they had 2 chambers, Mabish and this Usul Chavitin. And besides that, they had 2 rooms, 2 other entrances to get in. And here's a picture of B'chas Mabish. Can you see those shops? Like a small doorway for the main gateway. Here's loads of different clothes, and here's the Usul Chavitin, the people making the Chavitin. And now we'll continue with more of the gates. Shvitzofin in the north, Shah Nitzatz, it had like a porch on top, and it had here you can see this upstairs on top of the Shah Nitzatz. So that was the first one. There was Kohanim standing on top of this Shah and at the bottom of the Shah. The one next to it was in front of it, inside it was the Chil. The Shah asked, of course, the Chil. Every time you went through the Shah, there was always the Chil. It is shver. Why do we need to tell you the Chil? After this Shah, of course, there was the Chil. Sheni lo Shah Korban. After that was Shah Korban. Shlish lo Shah Beis HaMoiked. That was the Shah Beis HaMoiked which we talked about before. Tanya, we've learned. 5 times he would do tevel, 10 times he would wash his hands and feet. As we know, he washed his hands and feet twice every time he teveled, once before, once after. And when he teveled, he would tevel 5 times each. He would tevel once at the beginning of the day, and then every time he changed his clothes, altogether he wore 5 sets of clothes. So it was 5 tevilas.
Different clothes every time, or he went back to his old ones?
He went back to the old ones. That means first the golden, then white. The gold, white, gold, white, gold. And then the Kulam Bakudish al Gag Beis HaPava, all the times he ever went to mikveh, it was always within the Azor, on the roof of the Beis HaPava. Chutz B'Zu, except for the very first one, which was on the not in the Kodesh, it was in the Azor Beis, and it was B'Tzad Lishkosei Hoyso. It was next to his own chamber. So we see that he had another chamber next to the Shamayim. And the Shamayim, we said, was in the Dorim. So it comes out that he has 2 chambers, one in the Dorim and one in the Tzofim. Now, after we finish establishing that he has 2, says the Papa like this. V'lo yodano, I do not know, Elishkas ba'hedin b'Tzofim, Elishkas ba'hedin b'Dorim. It was Lishkas Besaftinas Baton, Lishkas Besaftinas Besaf, Lishkas Badam. I don't know which way around it is. Which one was the north and which one was in the south? When we start with Lishkas Behedra Bedon Avoy, this makes sense that it was in the south. Why? My time, Makdim Koyu Mesach Eswagnov. Must remember like this. He would have to travel beginning of the day in the Chol. Now the Chol was where? Was in the Domin. So it makes sense that the first thing he should do is he should, in the morning, everybody needs to go to the bathroom the first thing. So he goes to the bathroom, and then Mesach Eswagnov is a euphemism for going to the bathroom. And then afterwards he travels, and then he goes to the north, which is the second chamber. He does all the avodah that he needs to do during the 7 days. That means it makes sense to put his chamber, which he slept in, next to the chamber where he would travel in the chut. Because if you're going to make it, then the first thing he does when he wakes up is go to the mikveh, make it at the chamber, should be next to the mikveh. And if you say that he slept in the north, he would wash his feet, he would go to the bathroom, he would then have to go back to the south to Tevon, become a chafina, learn chafina, the Gemara says like this. Basically, there were two chambers. One was the north, one in the south. In the south, he would have to Tevon b'chol. Says the Gemara, makes sense to put the place where he would sleep and rest in the doorway and not in the sofa. Why? Because otherwise, what you're going to have to do is, he would wake up in the morning, the first thing you'd have to do is walk across to get to the sofa. If he was in the sofa, you'd have to make him walk to the doorway to go to mikveh, and only then go back to learn about the avodah, which would mean that he was walking back across for no reason, beginning of the day. Says the Gemara, no, on the contrary. Why not? Maybe we should. Did Stuki who, if it's a Stuki, we want him to keep away from the avodah. That means we want to make it difficult in order that he should not do the avodah. In Nami, that person can God that we want him to be humble in front of Hashem. If there's no reason to make him work, why do we make both chambers next to each other? In Nami, just make him one chamber. The fact that we have two chambers, and the fact that we put the chambers across from each other, is a raya that, on the contrary, we want him to work hard. And therefore, the Tvila was in the Dorod, and he actually slept in the Sofa. So therefore, every morning, what you'd have to do is wake up, go to the bathroom, then go across to the dorm to Teva, come back to the Avodah and the Sofa, learn the Sofa. Then at the end of the day, Teva again in the dorm, and then go back again to the Sofa. So we make him walk back and forth. Okay. There's a machlokas of koyanim shluchim of Hashem or shluchim of Klal Yisrael. That means, do we say the koyanim do the avodah? On whose behalf are they doing the avodah? Are they doing it on behalf of Klal Yisrael or are they doing it on behalf of Hashem? Can you think of an afkimina? Any afkiminas? The afkimina would be if so. Let's say you're a kohen. I mean, so what?
By coaching. So if the kind's like the Yid, then it's not Rod Masem because the Yid is doing it himself, so coaching doesn't have a chumrah. But if the kind is a shliach of Hashem,
it's not an afkimina. I don't know about that one. Afkimina is if I'm mad, I know. If I say I'm never going to get any benefit from Shiur, and then what happens is I ask you to shech the korban for me. If you're my shliach, I'm benefiting it. If you're zikr for me. If you're shliach of Hashem, you're not doing it for me, you're doing it for Hashem. So that's enough kimina with the shliach of people. That's the shliach of Hashem. If you say the shliach of ours, me can be the topic of testimony days. That no motzin on the mevad, we can't do it to shliach it done motzi. That we can't do it, and yet we ask them to do it on our behalf. We can't do Zvika. And we tell them to do Zvika. It doesn't make any sense. It must be the Shluchim of Hashem. But the Mishnah says before that what did they say to the Kohen Gadol? You're our Shliach. It's a Kasher of Honor. They weren't referring to the Kohen Gadol as Avodah, that is a Shliach of them. What they were referring to is that they said to him, you are a Shliach of ours regarding the Shvuah. When I make a shvur, on whose decision, on whose thoughts are making the decision. That means like this: we say to him, "Don't think you can make a false shvur and say, well, I meant to do it that way." Because when you're making the shvur, you're making the shvur on our behalf. And we're asking you to make the shvur on this specific thing. So therefore, since making a shvur on our thoughts, therefore the shvur has to follow our decisions. That means like this, it shouldn't make a machshava. That means if you want to make a trick, right? That means when you're making the shvur, you're making it al da'atenu. The shvur is al da'atenu. That's right, you can't change the terms. Tzedukki, they made the mechish as tzedukki. Very person, the Rabbi Shama Levi, gets hit on his body. Anybody have a proof that somebody who's chosh b'kshem gets hit? Why?
He gets hit 60 lashes.
That's because he said lashon hara. Okay, very nice. Rashi brings a wife from Moshe Rabbeinu. He said the him no yaminu li, and then what happened was Hashem made him get his hand to us. Okay. He would just smoke on the fire outside and then go in like this looking too. He would just do one story and then we'll stop over here. He came out to Yisroel, he was very happy. We don't know, we don't want to be careful because of the prushim. And the prushim say should do it on the inside, not on the outside. When will I be mekayim this halacha of doing the keteros on the outside? Now that I came into my hands, I shouldn't keep it. Wasn't many days that Shemesi died. And worms come out of his nose. There's a very interesting argument. Why did worms come out of his nose? Very good. Is that your own idea? The Tesis Shalom says that because he smelled the Rashi says, when you walk into the room, what's the first thing that walks into the room?
Shade.
So what's the first thing? Which part of the body walks first into the room? Rashi says the nose. And since he walked to the Kodesh HaKadoshim incorrectly, his nose. They were showing him and Achronim get very upset with Rashi. They say it's not true. When you walk into the room, the first thing that's walking into the room is your leg, foot. Very good. The Shash says it's a foot. And the Tesis Shalom says even more than that, it's not even your foot. Because what did the Kohen Gadol do on Yom Kippur? He carried two pans. One had fire, one had keteros, and he poured onto the other. If you walk into the room with two pans, which part is going to go into the room first? Your hands. So why does Rashi say that the worms came out of his nose because the first part that goes to the room? It's not true. It's either the foot or the hands, but it's not the nose. So the Ma'aser Tesis says like Shai that what? But the reason why the worms came out of his nose was because he smelled the keteros. Asks them about Shor, what do you mean? They always smelled the keteros. But normally they smell the keteros after having done it right. Here he did the keteros wrong because he put the keteros onto the fire before he came to Kodesh HaKadoshim. And he should have done it after he came to Kodesh HaKadoshim. So he smelled it incorrectly. Since he smelled it incorrectly, so therefore he deserved that his nose should be punished and worms should come out of his nose. Some say a different thing happened to him. It's Yosef Nigaf. The Tanakh B'chir came in Kurnish Rabazor, that the sound in the Azor, the Malach V'chovtu upon him, the Malach kicked him. We know that the feet of a Malach, what do the feet of a Malach look like? The feet of a cow. That means it's like a hoof. It's not like ours, which is flat like this. It's like standing on his toes. It's like a circle. And they saw the shape of that on his back. I mean, stamped on his back. That was what happened to the Kohen Gadol. The foot is like the foot of a cow. Now, the Mephoshim point out, a very interesting thing, that there's a special halacha, we were going to learn, an unbelievable halacha, that when the Kohen Gadol would go to Kodesh HaKadoshim, nobody was allowed there, not even the Malachim. The Malachim were told to come out of the Beis HaMikdash. If that's the case, how could the Malach kill him? So that's one Malach. He killed him afterwards, after he came out of Kodesh HaKadoshim. But there's another Malach, I thought you might guess. It's to show him again. Because at the end of the day, he did it wrong. Since he did it wrong, therefore, they were allowed in. I mean, since he went and did it wrong, that's why they were allowed in.
It's not that time of year that they're not allowed in, when the Kohen's going in the Keteros.
Yeah, that's right. Only that moment it goes in the Keteros, it says, V'chol Adam li V'chol Adam, the Mordash is nobody is allowed, not even the Malachim. But since he did it wrong, they were allowed. Alternatively, like you said the first time, is because it was after he came out. On the way out, they kicked him and killed him. So that's the two things. Can you put on the group? We're up to almost a Chai ben Kavuta. Yeah? Thank you very much. Have a very, very good Shabbos.